Alright, metalheads! Welcome to another episode of Metal Verbalizers podcast. In this episode, we are going to verbalize the thrash power metal band Stranger Vision. Stranger Vision is a band that started back in 2020 in Italy, as I understand it, and their debut album was released in 2021 and it's called Poetica. The sound that the band is going for is inspired by bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Pantera, and Testament when it comes to the riffs. On top of the riffs, we got all of the melodies and orchestral parts, etc. Those are more inspired by bands like Halloween, Blind Guardian, Symphony X, and Savatage. When it comes to the lyrics, they are more based on literature and poetry, and this is something that I would like to know more about if we do a future interview. In my opinion, it's cool to take the heaviest shit from thrash metal and the heaviest shit from power metal and merge it into one ultimate sound. Some songs it is more clear than others, but either way I think that it works really well. Something that I've been thinking about is that in some parts the vocalist has a similar rasp in his voice as the singer in Powerwolf. Powerwolf is also one of those bands that plays power metal but with some heavy spice to it. Maybe influenced by genres like thrash metal. I actually think that Stranger Vision should go on tour with Powerwolf as maybe a supporting band because the sounds are kind of similar but in many ways not at all. So I think it would be cool to see them share stage. Something that I also like is that they dare to use acoustic guitars and clean electric guitars. And carry that over to the highly distorted guitars. This gives the heavy parts a way bigger impact. It's like comparing getting hit by a smart car and getting hit by a Freightliner. Anyways, I think it's time to talk a little bit about their releases and the actual music that the band has put out. It started back in 2021 with 2 singles, and the first one is called Soul Redemption. It's to me a powerhouse of a song to start their career with. Next single is called Rage. This is another powerhouse of a song that has huge choir included. This is something that we see a similar version of in some of Sabaton's songs. This is also the song that is going to make vintage piano heavy. These singles were also included in the full-length album that the band debuted with in 21, which is called Poetica. The album is a long one because the 2 singles are joined by 13 other tracks, which makes it one of the longest albums that I have ever reviewed when making these episodes. And on this album you will find songs like Gates of Tomorrow, The Dying Light, and Hero of the New World. Next in line we got an EP called Visions from Space and Mind. It starts off with a cover of Mad World. This is a song that I've thought for so long would make an awesome metal song. So I'm really happy that we got a version here. It's almost heavier than I thought. Other songs that you'll find here is called Moonshield, Space Oddity, and Bright Eyes. This was released in 2021. Well, how about that? We got some more releases in 2022 as well. We start off with a few singles that are called The Thunder, The Deep, and Desolate Sea, and Wasteland. These singles were later featured on the full-length album, released the same year under the same name as the final single called The Wasteland. This album has like the first album, a little 1-minute intro track, but then they kick the album into gear and the title track, Wasteland, comes on. Except the singles, we got great tracks like The Road, Under Your Spell, and Never Ending Waves. But now we have actually gone through all of the band's current releases. So I think it's time for me to put in my little segment called Erik's Top 5. Here I have picked out some of my favorite songs to give you an idea where to start when listening to Stranger Vision. Of course I would recommend to listen to their full discography. But let's go. Number 1. Over and Over from Poetica. Number 2, Rage from Poetica. Number 3, Moonshield, Visions from Space and Mind. Number 4, Fire from Wasteland. Number 5, Wasteland from Wasteland. It is often quite hard to make these top 5 lists, much because the bands that we talk about has so much more good music among their releases. The first song that I listened to was Wasteland, and it was almost an instant decision that I wanted to make this episode. I personally love when you hear a song and instantly vibe with what you hear. Stranger Vision aren't just good at the crazy heavy stuff, they make great ballads as well, like their song Under Your Spell. This is a song that is absolutely beautiful and heavy at the same time, and maybe should have been on the list as well. But I guess that we can call it an honorable mention. A detail that I really like on the songs from the later album is the artwork, because it's very themed to what the song is called and what it is about. For example, the single Desolate Sea has artwork of a old sailing ship, a proper pirate style. The single Wasteland has artwork of some kind of a monument in what I assume is this wasteland. The Thunder has a mountain getting struck by lightning, but the coolest detail of all is in the album cover. This is actually genius and logical at the same time, and you might think like, what is the album cover going to be, since it has all of the singles included? Well, they have all of the artworks from the singles in one single piece. The singles artwork was just part of the artwork for the album. You got the ship and the mountain in the background and the monument in the foreground, which makes sense since the album and single Wasteland share the same name. As of right now, it seems like the band is out touring and playing shows. They actually posted a photo about an hour ago when I write this episode with a picture from one of their latest shows in Italy. Also, you can watch a clip of them rigging up their drum kit in a pub in Switzerland. So it seems like they are touring at the moment based on that. As of new music, I don't really have any new information. I would believe that we might not see any new music this year, maybe. It is very likely that they are going to focus on playing live this year and release new music next year. This is a common way of doing it, to put out new music one year and focus on playing live the next. With that said, it isn't impossible that we get 1 or 2 singles this year, start teasing for a bigger release later. In this day and age, we see that genres inspired by power metal and thrash metal are maybe more and more popular, so I think that it is awesome to combine the two into one sound. I can personally see great potential in the band. I think that the band can please a lot of people because of the sound being what it is. It will definitely be for those who like power metal, but also for those who enjoy some thrash metal, since the riffs are very thrash inspired. If this band sounds interesting to you, which it should, make sure to have a listen to their music and maybe even go see them live if they play near you. Also, you should follow them on their social media. They seem to be very active there and post about what they are up to. This is also a very easy way to support the band and help them to get exposed to new people. If you like what we are doing here on Metal Verbalizers podcast, bringing you brand new bands to listen to, don't forget to give us a follow as well, so that you stay updated on what we are going to verbalize next. Sometimes we also talk to the bands and interview them, or have them come on the podcast and tell stories about their experiences when being on tour. Also, you can be the one to give us the next band to verbalize. We always love when we get tips of bands to check out. But with that said, You've been listening to Metal Verbalizers podcast, Verbalizing the power thrash metal band Stranger Vision.